it's crazy. If I seen someone 3 years ago, no, 5 years ago, if I seen someone that I knew coming up, from far away on the street, I would actually go to the other side of the street because I was like, that's how like socially awkward or socially anxious I was. I was so isolated that, you know, I one day I remember I told myself, I'm just gonna go outside. This is gonna sound crazy, but when I told myself that, I would my hands would start getting sweaty. Such a stupid thing would, like going to I took a walk to the forest, and there was so much people there. I remember like I'm walking and I feel like everyone's just watching me, staring at me, judging me. Like they don't have a reason to though, now that I know obviously, but like just such a simple thing as taking a walk outside would be such a big task for me.
Robert, nice to have you.
Nice to be here.
Have you always known God?
No, I haven't known God. Me and my family, we were traditionally Catholic, but they did not practice it. So, like whenever my friends like around me, whenever they would ask me, I thought you're Catholic. Like my understanding of Catholicism was like, I always would tell them, we don't believe in God, or not that we don't believe in, but we don't believe as much. We don't go to church. In my head, that's what I thought a Catholic was, but not at all. But yeah.
So where did you grow up?
So me and my family, we moved from Czech Republic to Canada, Toronto, when I was about 8 years old. And even here, like if I was to talk about here, I've seen a lot of crazy, like things that a kid shouldn't see. Like lustful things, greed, cheating, and just a lot of messed up things as a kid. But then, then we moved for some reason. We moved to Canada when I was about 8 years old. We moved to Toronto, and it was like a wave. It was like a wave of us, Roma people. Everyone in the 2008, we moved to Canada all together. So even though like we moved from this place, it felt like we're taking the whole country with us. Everyone was like we still did what we would do here, go to parties, get-togethers. We would have all those types of things. So then, as time went by, people started leave. They started to leave. They started to miss their families. They started to things like that, and then everyone would leave, and then we would also move. We would move it was across the bridge. There was a bridge where we lived. There was a bridge, and we just literally moved across the bridge. So, and that's where my life actually changed. I was just it was just me and my family, just the English speaking people. We would have I would have Muslim friends, black friends, a lot of black friends, just all types of people, and they would, and I could really even call them my brothers. They would come to my house, whatever. But one thing we did, we lived in the ghetto. I guess you could say we live in a neighborhood, or the hood, as they would say, But as a kid, you don't really notice these things. You don't really understand these things. But as I grew older, in the high school, the high school I went to, it was such a bad school. My teacher, my homeroom teacher, told me not to go to the school, but I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to go to my I guess you could call it homeschool, or not homeschool. I think it's called homeschool, but she told me go to this school, but I'm like, no. So I went to this school, and it was so ghetto. It was just fights every single day. People getting stabbed. Just drugs. Just it was just bad. But and then the other side of the hood, I guess you could say, is you see a lot of like people doing other people wrong for the most stupidest things, like friends betraying friends, people change, selling drugs, getting into more serious like situations, like carrying guns, just yeah. A lot of my friends started doing things that that were just normal, I guess. At the time, I thought it was normal, but it wasn't, So one day, I go to hang out with my friends, and I realize they're acting funny. They're, and they actually told me they started smoking weed. So I'm like, oh wow, like, and that from that week, that same week, I started smoking weed. So I started smoking weed at 12 years old, which is crazy, but I started smoking at 12, and yeah. So then from there, I guess you could say, me being such a kid and not knowing how to, regulate my emotions, not knowing how to, process really anything, I would accept every thought that came into my head. So I guess I think weed caused my depression. I think I maybe got depressed like very young in my life, like maybe 17 years old, 15, 16 years old. I would get depressed, like, I would be around people, but I would have like these intrusive thoughts of they don't like me, they don't want to be around me, they don't, I'm trying to say, like, just negative thoughts about everything. They wouldn't even say it, but like, I think, like, it's like I could read their minds, which is like crazy to say, So I would really isolate, and all I would do is just, I was always like, I love music, I always like love playing video games, so that's what I would do, And I would go through life like that. I went to high school, got into more like smoking weed and things like that. But at the age of, 17, my dad got deported for something he did like 20 years ago at the time. He got deported and they sent him home. So, me and my mom, she's obviously like, she's not gonna let him go by himself. So we all left together. So, and then we came back here, and so I was like 18 at the time, 17. And, I got here, and actually I was feeling hopeful, because I thought to myself, wow, like I could leave like, all these negative things that I had in myself, like, behind, and start like a new life. Like, I was like kind of hopeful, but then I would get here, and right away, like, I remember like maybe the second day or the third day I was here, like people came to my house, knocked on my door. Some people I haven't seen for like maybe 10 years came out to my door like, hey, do you want to go outside? I'm like, sure. I don't even remember you, but I'll go outside with you. It's crazy, so I went outside, and we go outside, and there's like maybe 10 of us standing outside, and they're speaking in Roma. And I realized I don't know what they're talking about. Like, I'm with 10 people, but I feel so like, what are you guys, like, it's just like, I felt really, like, how would you say it? Different from them, like, So then I was like, okay. And then, time went by, and I would slowly they would ask me outside to go outside, but I would be like, no, I don't want to. They would also smoke, cigarettes. They would ask me to go drinking. I wouldn't drink though, I would always I was never into smoking. I would smoke weed, but not cigarettes, which is funny. But And then another thing that kind of made me feel different was I didn't really know how to speak Czech properly. Um, and I have one example of this when maybe like when I was at work and we're ordering food, and I'm ordering this food, and like in Czech, this is such a hard language. You could say like the same word in three different ways. So I was ordering food and I said this word like very wrong, and the cashier actually started laughing at me. She started laughing at me and she's like, "What? Like what do you want?" And she sent to other customers, and she's trying to make like fun of me, I guess. I just felt like, wow, okay, so you can't speak Roma and you can't speak Czech, so then like what's going on? I just felt very just out of place. Like I thought me going to Czech was like, okay, you could start a new life, you could be a new person, but it made me even worse. So I felt even deeper into the depression, into isolation. So yeah, so from 18 or from 17 to maybe 22, I would just constantly, just negative thoughts. And one way I would cope with was just, not music, but like video games. Video games was like a very big thing for me. I would just be at home, just playing video games. I would make friends online as well. Some people I even talk to like now, you know. So I guess you could say like I had a video game addiction. So I'd play video games. I would just stay at home, so I would gain a lot of weight. Just that was my whole life, just like wasting my life away. And I at a point I just felt so like miserable. I'm just like, is this really what life is? Like I was like, there has to be something more than this. Like I'm just like wasting my life away. Like I just felt so bad. So I would try to then do some things. Like I try to do like new age, I guess what you call it. Like I try to do law of attraction. I thought, which is like if you think about money, you're gonna get money. So like, so I thought money was gonna make me happy. I would sign up for seminars. I would watch things online, and things like that. I even got to in Zoom calls once. I got in a Zoom call, and I remember I'm talking. There's like these two women, and we're just talking about. I forgot what the Zoom call was about, but I remember as soon as the call ended, I felt all these intrusive thoughts again. Just you don't know how to talk. You don't know. You were just so awkward. You're so socially anxious, and I actually started crying. I'm just like, yo, I don't want to do this anymore. So I gave up on that. Yeah, so I went back into video games. So it was just like this roller coaster. Like I had a little bit of hope, but then it would, go down, and just I would live like that until, one day. One thing about me is I love music. So I always loved music. So, for you hip hop heads, if you know the big three, God actually used two of them to reach me, which is crazy. So one day I'm listening to this rapper named J. Cole. This guy actually got me through a lot of stressful moments in my life. But this one specific song, like I'm so deep into his music that I find this like unreleased section of his catalog, and me at the time I didn't know, but he was in his own street terms or street, I guess, language, giving out the gospel. He's talking about Jesus. So I'm just like, wow, like one of my favorite rappers is talking about Jesus. That's like, I knew about Jesus, but I didn't believe in it. I always knew about the stories like, Noah's Ark and Adam and Eve. But I just knew about them, But I'm like, so at that moment, I'm like, I'm gonna go, like, I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna just look at it. So I went and I downloaded a Bible off the Google, of a PDF file. I downloaded it on Google and I started reading from then and then on. And yeah, and everything changed from there. Like, I felt, for the first time, I felt like Jesus gave me a purpose in life. And that's where everything changed. I think that's what I was lacking in my life, just purpose. So Jesus gave me purpose, and started reading. I started falling in love, like the stories. I was like, wow, like, everything that I've thought I knew about, like, I was finally seeing the stories that everyone would talk about, like Adam and Eve and Noah's Ark and Moses and the Red Sea. I was finally reading about it, so that gave me a lot of hope and whatnot. But then I felt I maybe read like 2 or 3 books of the Bible at the time, and I felt like I knew the whole Bible, which is crazy to say. There's 66 books in the Bible, and I read 2 of them. So when then I got to a new job, I was like, when I got into the job, I'm like, I'm gonna evangelize. I'm gonna preach the gospel. But that's not what happened. It was actually the total opposite. And it's not their fault, obviously. They don't know what they don't know. But I went into this place, and I got really influenced by others. I seen, they had schools, they had like their I was very like weak in my walk, I guess you could say. I didn't really know anything, and then that's like me not going to church, obviously not having spiritual leaders around me, and I was really missing church at the time, I think. And this was maybe like I started reading the Bible in, I don't know, maybe like it doesn't matter, but it was really maybe like 3, 4, or 5 months into reading the Bible, and I was just like, I know the whole Bible, let me go and preach. And then I said, I got influenced by others. They would give me suggestions, and they would ask me to go and smoke and drink, with things I never did. Or I did some of them, but I didn't, drink and smoke cigarettes and things like that. But I would give in to them. I was like, why not? Maybe this will bring me happiness, because again, I fell into depression because I was comparing myself to others. They had jobs, they had cars, they had like careers lined up for themselves, and yeah. So I would give in to them. I fell into more depression. I mean, not more, but again, fell into depression. And yeah, I was just miserable again. It's just, I thought money would make me happy. I thought having girlfriends would make me, happy. But it just left me even more empty, because, nothing could fill a empty heart except God. Like, that's what I know now. And I tried doing those things for a little while, and it was to this point where I even, me and my sister walking home from work one day, and we sit at this bus stop, and I start crying. My sister asks me, she's like, why are you crying? And I tell her, like, I feel so alone. Mind you, I'm with like 5, like multiple, like a lot of people. I would go outside with a lot of people, but I still feel empty. They would be talking, and I would zone out. Even though I'm with people, I feel lonely. Like, how is this possible? Like, it's just insane, Now looking back at it is just, yeah. But anyways, she asked me, why are you crying? And I tell her I feel so, alone. And she's like, you're not alone. She said, I never forget what she said. She said, God is always with you. And whenever I tell her this, she doesn't remember it, which is crazy. So that's how I know, God was definitely talking through her that day. But I didn't want to listen. I just it was I was just stubborn, and it was just something like, I was like, how is God gonna help me? Like, even though He did all those things already, give me the sense of hope and purpose, but because I was so comparing myself to everyone, that it's just never do that. Never compare yourself to others, because that will definitely break you. But then I continue with my life. Things went on, and one day at work, I would be at break, and as I'm walking back from break to work, I actually have a bad fall. I slip, and I actually they called the ambulance for me, and I get called into the hospital, and then later on I get surgery. So I get surgery for my leg, and thank God that happened, because if that didn't happen, I don't know what would have happened. I had also had suicidal thoughts. I was scared to live, scared to die, but I didn't want to live. So I was stuck in this. I was maintaining, almost, as you could say. But thank God that happened, because it kind of gave me time to think. I remember as soon as they brought me home from that surgery, I remember as soon as I laid down on my bed, I was like, maybe this is God trying to bring me back to Him. But then again, I didn't want to listen. Stubborn again, So then I think maybe 3 months would pass, or no, 2 months would pass, and again, I'm just living my life, and I guess you could say just doing awful things, I don't even want to say, but one day I'm listening to music again, because the music, the second rapper, which is I'm listening to, Kendrick Lamar. And if you guys know, he's one of the biggest rappers in the world. And at the time, he actually made a song named, I think it's called "Watch the Party Die." And in this song, he names another rapper. He names Lecrae. He says something along the lines of, "What would Lecrae do?" So I'm like, if this guy's talking about this rapper, and why not just check him out? So I did, and I realized he's a Christian rapper. So I'm like, oh wow. And then I check out his songs or whatever, and then I realize he's doing podcasts or whatnot, and I see this one podcast with him and this ex gang member, and I click on it and I watch it, and I'm just my mind's blown by the way he's giving his testimony. It's like his testimony gave the push almost to read my Bible and to go back into to go back to God. That's the power of testimony, So that's what I did, So this guy's name is the person that he interviewed was Johnny Chang, and it's funny, the way he was explaining how that day his pastor was explaining everything and how his mind was blown. It was the same way almost like the at the time what he felt with his pastor is what I felt him saying. You know, what he was talking about. That's how I felt. So, you know, I went back to reading the Bible on my phone again. And then later on in that few months later, I would get my sister would actually give me a Bible for Christmas, and that was just different. Like I loved it. Like it was so different. Like having a physical Bible was just a game changer to me. You know, so I started reading again, and like a few months later, I would actually join church for the first time. Like I always wanted to do it, and it's like the one thing I think I didn't. The one thing that always kept me not wanting to join church is I was always looking for the perfect church. But one thing I realized is that there is no perfect church, you know, to be honest. As long as the people are pointing to the perfect one, that's all you need. So, yeah, so I joined a church, you know, first of all, I was looking for, you know, online and whatnot, and I finally found one. Funny enough, this church is like literally like 5 minutes away from my home, so it's very convenient. But funny story, actually, the first time I went to church, first of all, I sent an email to pastor. I remember coming to church, he showed me around, made me really like welcomed and whatnot. And I was going around telling everyone my full name. Like, hello, my name's Robert Dano. Hello, my name's Robert Dano. You know, and I remember feeling so nervous. Like, I was so nervous. Like, here I am, a person that's, like, scared to, you know, like, the thing about me before, like, I would never socialize with anyone. Like, I would be scared to, like, if I knew someone, like, maybe, like, if I compare myself from how I was, like, 3 or even 5 years ago, it's crazy. Like, if I seen someone 5 years ago, if I seen someone that I knew coming up, you know, from far away on the street, I would actually go to the other side of the street because I was like, that's how like socially awkward or socially anxious I was. It was bad. Like it was to the point where I was so isolated that, you know, one day I remember I told myself, you know, I'm just gonna go outside. This is gonna sound crazy, but when I told myself that, I would my hands would start getting sweaty. And so I went and I took a walk. Like such a stupid thing would, you know, like going to I took a walk to the forest, and there was so much people there. I remember like I'm walking and I feel like everyone's just watching me, staring at me, judging me. Like they don't have a reason to though, you know, now that I know obviously, but like just such a simple thing as taking a walk outside would be such a big task for me, you know. So see, that's what Jesus does though. He like me then going to a church was like crazy, you know what I mean? So here I am at church. The funny thing is though, I had nothing, like I had no idea how church works, so I would sit down, you know, wouldn't talk to anyone. I would just sit down, walked in straight after you know, pastor showed me around, sat down, and a sister would approach me and kind of, you know, make me feel welcome, whatever. And then pastor would he would kind of you know, pray, kind of give like a mini sermon, and then there was worship, and then after the worship, I thought that was done. Like, I thought okay, so I grab my coat and I start walking out the door, but I realize everyone else is sitting down. So then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna fake going to the bathroom then. So I fake going, fake go to the bathroom, and I come back, and it was literally the best decision like the second best decision I ever made, actually, going to the church. After the church, we always have fellowship. So I go, sit in this room, and then a sister comes up to me, and she's the only the English speaking person in there that day. Like, no one else was there. Like, you weren't there. None of them were there. She made me feel really like welcomed, and for the first time, I felt like someone cared. Like I felt cared for. I felt like someone wanted to hear me out. So we fellowshipped after, and yeah, that just, like, I don't know if this is like, I don't know what would happen, but I feel like if she wasn't there that day, who knows if I would have came back. Like, but who knows, But yeah, that made me, really maybe look forward to church. And then,
What was the other best decision that you ever made?
reading the Bible. That's the best decision I've ever made, for sure.
Why? What did it do?
Like I said, I feel like it gave me a purpose. It gave me kind of an understanding of, it's like I had nowhere else to go but to God. So that's just me though. Like, like I was looking for other ways. I was looking for something to just grab on, and like that was it. Jesus was right there. So open the Bible and just gave me purpose. It gave me hope. It gave me kind of an understanding how everything is. And yeah.
So you now have been walking with Christ for a couple of years.
About 3 years into my walk, and it's just like, now that everything I thought I knew in the beginning, like, obviously I know way more, and it's like the more I know, the more I realize I don't know anything. Like, that's just how it is, It's funny. Yeah, so it's like an ongoing, just learning. I'm learning a lot about myself now. God is just, like I said, if I compare myself from 5 years ago, it's actually like mind blowing, to be honest. Yeah.
What's the biggest difference?
The biggest difference, I would say, I'm stepping like out of my comfort zone a lot, like so much, like doing evangelizing, talking to strangers on the street, just just leaving. Like, I feel so much more peace now, like knowing everything is in God's hands. I don't have to have it all figured out, because whether I do this or do that, God will make my crooked path straight. So yeah, so that gives me a lot of peace.
What is the biggest difference you think between your life without Christ and your life now with Christ?
My biggest difference, yeah, like I said, like peace, and I have peace now, and I have a purpose to preach the gospel, preach the to the ends of the earth. So that doesn't mean though that I don't have I don't struggle. I definitely struggle now, but I look at things way different. That's another thing too. I feel like I look at things way differently. To whereas like I would run away from problems, but now I see problems as a way to grow. God is trying to show me something. God is molding me into the person that He wants me to be. So that's definitely to On the contrary, I would beat myself up if something was like wrong. If something would go wrong in my life, I would just beat myself up. I would blame others. I would blame myself. But I look at it different. Yeah.
Different perspective.
Yeah. You know, recently a sister asked me, like, what's your favorite childhood memory? And I told her, or just a memory. She said, what is your favorite memory? And I told her when I was a child, when we were in Canada and we were at this get together and there was so much people, you know, and everyone was just like having fun. It was like, you know, having I don't know. To me, it seemed like everyone's having the best time of their life. And, you know, I see my parents and, you know, they're also having fun. So, and I look at my mom and I start like tearing up out of joy. So, yeah. Because, and it sounds crazy, right? Because, like, why are you a kid, like, crying out of joy? Like, you know, like, what have you been through that's making you cry out of joy? You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah, the fact that you've been through so much misery that now you see
yeah.
that there's joy as well
Yeah.
made
And,
you well up.
Yeah.
So how old were you when this happened?
I was, like, that's when we first came to Canada, maybe, like, 9 years old, 8, 9 years old.
What is the difference between one side of the bridge and the other side?
Like, there's no Roma people there. It was just all, you know, foreigners, I guess, or Canadians. It's like when they all moved back to here, we just moved to the other side of the bridge.
So you moved from the Roma community, which wasn't there anymore, to
Yeah, basically.
to the hood.
Yeah.
Started living there.
Yeah.
Tell me a story about what makes the hood the hood.
What makes hood the hood? That's, now that I think about it, well, I could just tell you what happens in the hood. A lot of, there's this like two sides. There's always like, you have brothers, you know, things you share with others, things you know, go through, like fights. If one of us has a problem, we would be there for them, you know, we would fight for each other, you know.
Did you ever do that?
Yeah. Now that I'm with Jesus, now that I'm with Christ, I don't think like that anymore, but I would, it made me really anxious about everything. I feel like I always had like to look over my shoulder for some reason. I don't know if that was my anxiety or being from like the hood. I guess I always thought like, you know, if a person would look at me wrong, like a man, obviously a man, then I thought he would want to fight or something, you know. So it made me more, I guess, compulsive, I guess is the word, or angry, or anxious, I guess you could say. Yeah. Also, you know, with the other stuff, with like betraying and stuff, that's the thing about me. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I maybe had like 2 or 3 friends I always had around me. My entire, like, not my entire childhood, but like most of my childhood. I even still talk to them now. You know, that's how deep it is. You know, I didn't really have a lot of friends, like I said, because I didn't really trust anyone besides them. It's not that I don't like have a problem with trust. I just know who to trust, I guess, if that makes sense.
How do you know?
If they have the gospel in them, if they are walking with Jesus, you know, if they keep Jesus at the center of their lives, then I could trust you.
Is there anything you miss from your former life?
Absolutely not. I don't miss anything. No, really. I just, like, God made me, like, it's funny, like, it's all God. Like, He made me productive. He made me step out. He made me, like, find new hobbies. He's making me, you know, it's just, yeah, I don't like the person I was at all. Like, I'm so, like, I feel pity for that person. Like, I'm just like, how do I say, like, I feel bad for that person, you know? I feel, now that I look back, I was just so miserable and whatnot, but definitely don't miss anything from that life, no.
Is there sometimes, as you said, you began with explaining that you had like intrusive thoughts, depressed, suicidal thoughts. Did this ever reoccur when you started living with Jesus Christ?
I guess you could, well, like, you mean intrusive thoughts just in general?
Yeah, or
Because
depression or suicidal thoughts.
depression and suicidal thoughts, no, but intrusive thoughts, definitely. Like, I had one today, you know, but that's normal, you know. We live in this chaotic world. We live in this broken world, so that's definitely normal. But I never felt depression. I never felt. Don't get me wrong. Even if I do like feel some type of sadness or, you know, whatever it is, I take it to God. I take it to my like brothers and sisters, and we fellowship, and everything will you know, everything turns out normal. Or, you know, God always makes He works everything for the greater good. So, you know, yeah.
If there's one thing you could say to the people that are watching this, what would it be?
One thing I would say is, if you're struggling with isolation, with you know, depression or whatever it is, just know that I was like that too. I was always. If God could do it for me, then God will do it for you. But you just have to, you know, take that step, and whether it's, you know, going to church or opening your Bible, reading the Bible, just do it, and God will show you. And yes, you know, in the beginning it might be scary, it might be, but, you know, just have faith, just trust in God, just have faith, take the extra step, and God will show you. Like I said, if I compare myself to someone, to how I was even 3 years ago, like, the change is like, it's crazy. It's crazy, to be honest. So yeah, I just wanna, you know, encourage you guys. God will He will sustain you. He will give you peace. He will give you a purpose. He will, you know, through people as well. He will give you, you know, a community. If you feel isolated and you feel lonely, He will give you community. He will give you all that you desire, you know. He won't give you everything at once, because then, you know, why would you need God? But slowly and little by little, He will guide you through everything. So yeah, we call Him Father, Abba Father, for a reason. So yeah, that's it.
That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having the opportunity to, you know, share this walk with God. I think it will really help others. And yeah, I hope they get encouraged by this. And, you know, like I said, if God can do it for me, He will definitely do it for you. Oh yeah.
Robert Dano.
Amen.